Hello and welcome back to another video. It is officially 2.5 years now that I have been consulting, freelancing, whatever you call it. And I think it's important to share what I've learned now that I'm this far in. Because when I started, I had no boss, I had no set hours or rules in my day, and I had to figure things out as they came. But now I'm at a place where I have built this business and I have, very diversified income within it, and it's a business that allows me so much freedom, compensates very well, and I really just get to do whatever I want whenever I want, and I feel like I found some sort of freedom that so many other people never find with their working life. I just want to provide whatever insights that can maybe help you along your journey. But what's also really important to say is that it's not been all like freedom and cute coffee dates. Like, I spent a long time in the trenches learning to get to this point, which is why I want to share 10 things I've learned in the first 2.5 years of consulting. Things that I wish people would have told me at the start. Number one, your value does not come from you being busy. See, when I first started, I thought being overwhelmed meant that I was doing it right. Now I realize that productivity does not equal worth. Sometimes doing less helps me to actually make more money and produce better work. Now I know that I don't have to earn my rest. I just have to do the things that day that will provide valuable results for my clients. Number two is that the best clients come from you being yourself. I used to try and sound so professional on all my calls, and now I kind of just show up and I do act like I know my shit, but I also come on and I talk to them like I'm their friend. And you know what? With the right people, it's a good fit, and with the wrong people, we don't find that alignment. And finding that alignment is so much more important than just performing on a call, because what you'll find out very quickly in this business is that getting the right clients makes up so much of your day. Number three, stability can exist in freelancing, but you have to build it. Retainers, boundaries, systems. A lot of this will be you establishing how people should treat you. It's kind of like being in a relationship. And if you don't want people hitting you up at 9 p.m., then you need to make sure that you have those business hours strictly enforced from the beginning. During those hours, work really well, produce really great work, but let them know that they can't kind of infringe on your non-work life. And it's not just that. There's so many things that come into this, and your long-term success in this business will come from structure, and you will have to build that structure yourself. Number four is that you don't have to say yes to everything. This was so liberating when I finally discovered it. I was saying yes to everything when I started because I wanted income, obviously. And that $1,200 nightmare project that I knew wasn't going to be good, from the second I spoke to this prospective client, I would take it. I would always take it. And it was always out of fear. And instead of being X amount of time put into this project, it would be 3 times that, and it would be stressful, and I would be getting migraines and no sleep. But again, I would do it because I was scared, and that kind of fear is good, especially at the beginning, because you do need to be scared to work hard, because you don't know if you could lose it all, if this isn't going to work out for you, and that scrappiness helps you learn really quickly. However, you have to get to a point, I think, where, and I've been able to be at this point for over a year now, and it feels great, of if it doesn't feel like a yes, if I don't feel really good about this partnership, because it is a partnership. You're not just working for them. You guys are working together. And if it doesn't feel like a hell yes, then it's a no. And I realize you obviously have to have a good amount of regular income to be saying no. Again, that's why it comes back to getting really good clients, because once you have more of those key contracts that are stable and you feel good about and you're really happy with the work you're doing, any new contract you bring on, you can up what you're charging. You can be more choosy with clients because you have that other income, which is another just like side note why I love this profession, is that I never really have to worry about losing a job. Like, if a client has to cut back spend and they have to cut my services, I have other people that I'm working with and other income still coming in, and it allows me to never really feel like I'm scrambling. Now, number five, most people don't know what they're doing either. I'm serious about this. Like, even like 6-figure freelancers are still winging something. You're not behind. you're not broken, you are building. It's always important to say yes to things before you're ready. I think that's part of the reason that I've gotten so many places in my life, not just professionally, but I will say yes to something even if I am not quite there yet. And one anecdote, which I finally now 2.5 years in, feel confident admitting. So when I started freelancing, I was doing email and SMS marketing. Loved it. I had experience with it. Also really wanted to start selling a CRO service, which is like conversion rate optimization on websites. It pays really well and it's so important. If you get your website optimized, it bolsters every other part of your online business. And I had never done it before, so I just taught myself. I literally took classes online, studied a ton, and I started advertising it as something that I was extremely efficient in. And I started bringing on clients for CRO. I knew a lot of stuff going into it because of what I had educated myself on. And then when I started doing it for clients, I was definitely learning a bit more on the job, always producing good work. And now it's something that I know like the back of my hand because I said yes to it before I was ready and I knew it was something that I wanted to take on and I put in the work to get there. But I guess going back to this point number 5 is that when you're starting out, a lot of it is going to feel like you're faking it. And you're going to feel awkward on the intake calls, even on your first reporting calls. You're going to feel weird asking for certain assets from the brand, and all of that is normal. I felt all of those things for so long, and like I said, I will still feel that way. This is a little bit like what I was saying earlier of like creating systems and boundaries and stuff, but number 6, just to reiterate, is that going into the more of the emotional side of boundaries, I want number 6 to be boundaries are not mean. They are professional. Like I said, you don't have to respond to them at 9 p.m. If you have already left the office for the day and let's say it's even 6 p.m., you don't have to hop on a call quick. I will add that if there is the occasional fire that needs to be put out, you always, have to accommodate the client and make them feel safe with you if things go wrong. But that'll be every so often. Normally, if you don't want certain things and you want your business to be a certain way, solidify that with the client and they will probably respect you more. That's what I've found is that when I do have these specific boundaries, like I'll give you an example of another one. I used to invoice clients at the end of the month. It's just the nature of the business. I had a few instances where people were paying me very late and I had to follow up a ton. And it was like, going way too far after I had invoiced that I would receive that payment finally. I now will invoice people at the beginning of the month. That is something that I felt really nervous to ask people because you're asking them to pay you before you've provided the value for that month. But once I started working that into just a boundary of mine that I make every client do, now everyone pays me at the first of the month. I then have that whole month to chase payment if needed. And no one is ever very late because I'm getting paid before the entire month of services I provide. Number 7 is that there will be seasons of doubt, and that is just normal. There are certain times, I would say especially during the holidays, because Black Friday, Cyber Monday is an insane time for me, but also just seasons where I'm feeling just maybe I've had a bad week with the work that I'm doing. Maybe I feel like I haven't hit the KPIs that I wanted that week, or just a bunch of different things go wrong with clients in a week. I will think to myself like, oh my gosh, should I just go back and get a full-time job? Or what am I doing with my life? Did I follow the right path? What would be easier? That is always there. That's always going to be normal. Even if you love your job, which I do, I love every day of this, but you're always going to have moments where you feel like that. And I chose it in the past. I can keep choosing to do this. I can re-choose and figure out a new path. If I'm staying in this feeling of feeling stagnant or feeling sad, if I'm stuck in that for a while, maybe it is time to choose a new path. The great thing about life is that you can keep iterating and moving and doing different things. So many people don't end up doing professionally what they start doing at the beginning of their career or what they studied in school. You're able to kind of keep iterating, and this sort of advice is not as applicable if you're like a doctor or something, but at least I'm speaking from my own field and my own life. There's always time to re-choose if that really is the case. But you're probably fine. You're probably just having a bad week and it's not that deep. Number 8, your reputation is your best asset. These days, most of my clients will come from referrals and inbound. And also, I just find that creating that personal connection is just so vital. I always provide great results. But there's been some clients in the past where I've provided really good results for them, but maybe we just don't get along that well. Like the calls are awkward. We just like personally aren't great. I've had people leave and go to other consultants because we just don't have that glue. And if someone else comes around and really wows them and tells them they can provide even better results, you know, they'll trust them and try out that person. Whereas the way I talk to you on camera is, I mean, it's kind of the way I talk normally in general, but it's also the way I carry myself in client meetings, big eyes, talking excitedly. Things like that are really key to solidifying a personal relationship with a client, and that will keep them around so much longer. Providing good results mixed with that means that, you know, maybe you guys go through a bad month in the business. They'll continue trusting you and they'll allow you to get out of that hole. Longevity really comes from those strong relationships. And then, like I said, referrals come from those strong relationships. And if you can cut down on your outbound and scrambling to get new clients when you maybe lose one, that saves you so much time, because outreach is kind of like the worst part of this profession, I find, at least for me. Number 9, we only have 2 left. All right, listen to me. Are you listening? Okay, good. You are your biggest limiter or your biggest liberator. Let me say that again. You are your biggest limiter or your biggest liberator. It really is all you. Wait, is there a military plane flying by? Oh, that is so cool. Okay. So much of this comes down to how you mold it. Again, I've kind of touched on that earlier, but everything in this business, like, you can get as big or as small as you want based on your own choices and your own action. When I started raising my rates a ton, no one stopped me. And you know what? I got clients that gave me much higher rates. When last summer I went through some personal things and I wanted to scale back my hours, I did it. No one told me not to. I wasn't scared that I couldn't find more work later. And you know, I took about 5 months where I really cut down my workload, and it was fine. And I got on, and like I said, because the compensation is great for this profession, I could more than get by, and when it felt right, I took on a larger workload again. I just feel like sometimes we're waiting for permission to keep growing, to go to another level, to ask for more money, to ask for things that make the day-to-day more comfortable. And what is the worst thing that can happen if you just ask permission or if you go for that thing? You're already losing if you don't go after it. So yeah, I guess just so many things come down to you. And that needs to be something that you take very seriously. Drum roll. Woo! Number 10, freelancing isn't the goal. Designing your life is. The actual work that I do on the day-to-day, even though I love it, that's not my goal. My goal is to be able to go and have a 2-hour-long lunch with a friend on a Tuesday. My goal is to be able to get off of work every day early so I can go for a long walk while it's still really sunny. My goal is to be able to start work at 5 a.m. every day, because that's when my brain works best. You don't have to do that, but that is what works best for me. You know, a goal of mine is to make a good amount of money. That matters to me. It provides more freedom in life. All of those little things that I can do to free myself up financially or free up time or whatever. That is the goal. And that's what you should have in mind when you're designing this business for yourself. So yeah, 2.5 years in now, I certainly don't have it all figured out. But what I do have is freedom and stability and a lot more peace than I used to have. So if you're currently freelancing or you're thinking about getting started, I hope that this was a little insightful and helpful for you. Let me know if you want part 2. I can show you how I structure my weeks and what my business looks like. I'm happy to share a lot of it. I am trying to balance this channel out a little bit more between lifestyle, mindset, and freelancing stuff. So I hope that you will join me in that transition. I will always give you guys freelancing videos because, like I said, it changed my life. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. I love you guys so much. Bye.